My name's Linda, and this is Lilybug's Library, and I've been a little absent lately, but it's really nice to see everyone. And we're just going to have a little chat, tell you something about the books that I've been reading, and a little bit about life. So I've got a lot of books that I've read. That part is going well. I am participating in Big Book Summer, but really haven't read any more than one big book, I don't think. Um, Listen to a lot of audiobooks, so sometimes I forget to check the page count. So maybe there's more than that. But right now I'm caught up in a couple of NetGalley books that I said I would read, and so now I'm reading those. A little late on one, but better late than never. And as for life, it's the reason I kind of backed away from the channel is, I had a lot going on with fibro, and then work was incredibly busy, and I'm finding it a little bit hard juggling both. So, and life too. I have a husband and grandkids and kids, and all of those things. So, there's other things that need taken care of as well. So, but I did miss you, and I'm back for today at least. Now, I did get rid of a lot of my software. It was not working well anyway. So today we're just on Zoom, and you're going to have to use theater of the mind to imagine the book covers or look them up on Goodreads. So that's the best I can do. But I will tell you about some of what I've been reading. I've got my phone here and I've got it up on Goodreads, and so I can tell you some of what I've been reading. So I read, I'm not going to tell you all of them because there's an awful lot. I'm just going to pick out kind of the highlights and the lowlights. So I read Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and that one was really good. It was about this this really sweet veterinarian who comes across a little grumpy when this woman comes into his vet shop, vet well, into where he works. Into the office, I guess. Maybe that's the best word for it. So he comes in there. She's got this tiny kitten. He's, basically telling her that like this kitten has no bum, like no hole in his bum. And so he's going to need this operation that she'd be better off just to, let the kitten go kind of thing. And she refuses, and she ends up getting the surgery done and keeping the kitten and getting involved with this vet. Excuse me, I just get up, so my voice is a little off. So she gets involved with this vet, and they have this, what turns out to be a long distance relationship, but really sweet. Abby Jimenez can really do no wrong when it comes to her writing. She's always very good. I also read Bees in the Butterfly Garden. Now, that was one of the lowlights. I did not care for this at all. I found it just very confusing. It was about this. Let me see if I could even, and see, I barely remember it, which, usually tells you something. So it was about this woman who's raised in a boarding school, and she doesn't have the things that she wants. She has lots of physical things, but she doesn't have like a family, and she dreams of a future, excuse me, where she has those things. But her father's very distant. He dies, and she thinks she can go on and do what she pleases. But then she starts finding out that her father wasn't the wonderful man she thought he was. He was actually a crook. And so she is determined to follow in his footsteps to find out where he was and what he did. And it was okay, but it really wasn't my thing. So I gave that 2 stars. And then there was another Abby Jimenez book, which was called The Night We Met. And this one was really good, but I would say be careful with this one because it does have a lot of triggers in it, depending on what your life's been like up to this point. So check I think she probably tells you in the beginning of the book. I know I listened to it on Audible, and she does tell you in the beginning of the Audible. So. But this one is about this guy that this woman Larissa who rides home with this guy and thinks that he is the perfect guy, but turns out his best friend is more the perfect guy. And so the best friend is trying very hard to um, make everything better for her and act as though it was the friend that did it. And so there's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of things that go haywire while she's trying to figure out who it is that's doing what and whether the guy that she thought she was in love with is actually the guy of her dreams. So that one was really good as well. And then I read a couple by Kennedy Lane, and they were the Paramore Bay mysteries. There was two I've read so far. The first one was Magical Blend. The second one was Bewitching Blend, and they were about, let's see here, about this tea shop that this lady named Raven Marigold inherited. And she really thought, everything was going to be better. She inherited this tea shop, her life was going to change. And then they found a dead body in the back of the store. So things went from bad to worse because she starts hearing this cat that's in the store talking to her. And she's thinking she's going crazy. And anyway, it turns out that the whole family is are witches, and she didn't know this. She is just starting to kind of come into that power. You know how in books it's usually like you hit a certain age and all of a sudden you become one. But her grandmother was one, and her grandmother, I think it was her grandmother or her aunt, one of them, left her the tea shop. And so she had been a very powerful one. And then her mother is, but her mother denied everything about it and went on to lead a normal life. So it's books are about the things that she gets into, and always a little murder involved, and it's they were both very good, very well written. Um, the next one was a domestic thriller, and normally I have gotten so I like a lot of those. This was not one of those. This one was called The Valet, and I only gave it 2 stars. It was about this, let's see, Johnny Silva and his girlfriend target people that have a lot of insurance and a lot of jewelry. But then one of them turns up dead, and he is trying very hard to figure out who it was that did it because he knows it's not him. And it turns out that there's a serial killer that's terrorizing Honolulu, and he thinks he knows who it is. So it's him working through all of that and trying not to get arrested in the process. Um, I just wasn't there for it. I didn't particularly like the character. I'm not a big Serial Girl fan. Not that anybody's a Serial Girl fan, but you know what I mean. I'm not a serial. I don't like books about serial killers normally. So I only gave this one 2 stars. Now, on the other side of that, I have been so into Westerns lately, not just Western romances, which I've always kind of liked, but actual Westerns, which I don't know where that's coming from, but I'm here for it, I guess. And so the first one I read was a romance. It was called Loving the Texas Lawman. And this one I gave 5 stars to. This one's about Sheriff Jack Walker, and he was in love with his high school sweetheart. She ended up bailing on him and leaving town, and has since become famous for running this lingerie shop. Well, she ends up in trouble where she is because the guy that she was involved with turned out to be a crook. Her whole life was upside down. So, of course, where do you go when your life's upside down? Home. So she gets there, and she wants Jack's help to change her reputation. She wants to have a fake marriage with him. At first, he's like, not happening. But he's trying to adopt this little boy and knows that it will go better for him if he's married. So they end up having a fake marriage or a fake wedding, and then things heat up from there, let's just say. So I gave that one, like I said, 5 stars. And then there's let's see, there's a lot of other ones that I kind of gave like 3, 4 stars to. They were okay. Liz Isaacson, I've seen her name a lot, but never really read any of her books, at least not that I remember. But I read two of hers. Both were quite good. One was 4 stars, which was called Rhett, and this was another fake marriage story. So this was about a cowboy billionaire and this woman that he's in love with. He's been in love with her a long time, but she hasn't paid attention. She just has him in the friend zone. And so eventually, she is running a matchmaking business, which is not going well because, as far as her clients are concerned, she can't even match herself. So she ends up having a fake marriage with him to try to boost her business. Boy, I hope most women are like that. It seems like a lot of women are trying to boost their business with these cowboys or these men. So anyway, they get married, and then things kind of fall apart because she's not really holding up her end of the bargain with things. So that one was quite good. And then there was another one I read. Sorry if I keep looking down here. The other one was called Second Chance Ranch, and this one is the second in the Three Rivers Ranch series. I have not read the first one. And I can just hear my one of my subscribers going, "You always need to read them in order." And I know I do, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. So this one was good though. It was about this major coming back to Three Rivers Ranch, and he's really anxious to prove himself because he got hurt in Afghanistan. And sorry, my eyes are watering. He got hurt in Afghanistan, and his uh, he is supposed to take over the ranch from his father. He doesn't know if he really wants to, but he does love his father and he's trying to help. But it turns out that the ranch is in a horrible mess. Someone's been stealing money. Everything's all messed up. So the girl that he was in love with in high school shows up and she gets a job there. Her father hires her to figure out the books and where the money has gone. So when she comes home, she has a 4-year-old son, and he's still hurting from something that happened in high school. And so they end up kind of working that out and coming to a place they can agree on. So that one was good. That one I gave 5 stars. And then there was one that I really, because I listened to it, I had no idea how hot the cover was. But it was called Prairie Bride, and oh no, sorry, it was called Mail Order Bride. It's part of the Dodge City Brides collection. Oh, isn't that interesting? I called it Prairie Bride because that's what it says, but then when you look at the book cover, it says Mail Order Prairie Bride. Whatever. Anyway, it was 5 stars. It was about this woman who ends up um, coming into the West to marry this man, and she is trying to escape this abuser that she got married to, but she thinks that it was a fake marriage. She doesn't think it was real for various reasons, but she doesn't tell him any of that. She just shows up to be married to him. He is also getting over a relationship where the woman was really pretty and then wouldn't stay around. So he really doesn't even want someone that's pretty. He wants someone that's tough and functional so that they can help out on the ranch. And so, anyway, she gets there, and I guess it's more of a farm than a ranch. But anyway, she gets there, and it turns out she's very pretty. But anyway, he marries her, and he starts to have feelings for her, and he takes her back to the ranch or the farm, and it's like I know they have a name for them, like a sod house or something, but it's like this dugout thing made out of mud and grass and stuff. It's not a very nice home, let's put it that way. And so she's, kind of, it's a little rougher than what she expected too. So in the meantime, he finds out that like he's not the first one that she's been with, and so he's kind of grumpy about it. And then she's trying to explain, but he's not really, he doesn't really want to hear it. And so there's a lot of miscommunication between the two of them, but eventually he starts to find out what really happened to her, and she starts to find out what happened to him, and things are they really have to dig deep to still find any kind of love between them. And so it was really good, and there was a lot of interesting things that happened as far as the farm life as well, and how hard it must have been back then to have a life when everything kind of is against you with weather and all these other things. So anyway, I really like that one. Um, oh, and then there was one that and I know I told you I wasn't telling you about all of them, but I feel like I'm telling you too many now. But there was one that I really enjoyed. Um, I don't know. I don't think I gave it. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. Um, I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but it was certainly different and interesting. It was called The Trad Wife, and if you watch YouTube a lot and you know just kind of listen, you'll see a lot of things about trad wives on YouTube. It's a short for traditional wife, except they're far from traditional. It's these women who get up at 5 a.m. and they ground their own wheat and they bake bread for their children and like do an incredible amount of work and everything by hand and everything natural for their families. And they dress like June Cleaver and they look like the so called perfect wife. But a lot of people have kind of really pushed back against that. And a lot of times you'll look at like a clock on that's on their microwave or something, and they're telling you they're up at 5 a.m. The clock says 10. It's like a lot of fakery, I think, in many ways. I'm not saying they all are like that, but I think a lot are. I mean, really, I don't think most people, try to live like that. But anyway, so this woman is was working for, I think it was a newspaper or a podcast, probably a podcast. Um, and there's this one woman who's this trad wife, and she's watched her. And even though she kind of figures it's all fake, she is just kind of enchanted by her as well. And so she finally manages to get an interview with her. And she goes to interview her, and tries to get kind of dirt on what's going on, but the woman just won't crack. She sees the occasional like lip curl or, something very minor, but nothing that tells her really what's going on underneath. And then she's surprised that the woman offers her a job as her assistant. And she and her daughter can come and live on the commune where they are. And so the woman agrees, and the trad wife says, okay, that's great, but you can't publish this interview. It would be a conflict of interest. So she's like, okay. And so she agrees to do it. So what the trad wife may or may not know at the beginning is that the woman that she's hired is still going to try and find out dirt and leak it back to the people that she works for. But as far as anyone's concerned, she's quit and gone to work for this trad wife. And she starts to find out the woman is Mormon, and she starts to find out that things are not what they seem to be in any way, shape, or form. And she starts to regret bringing her daughter there and everything that goes on afterwards. And it turns out to be very twisty. And I went places I didn't even guess when I had picked up the book. And I thought it was great. I thought they did a really good job. It really made you think about what does go on behind the camera. I'm sure not nearly as much as this book, but it was very interesting. So let's see. And then some of the ones that I read that were or not detective, that were westerns, have been by this man called William W. Johnstone. And I think I've read quite a few of his now, and most of them turned out to be quite good. There were a couple that's like, okay. But this one in particular was really good. It was called The Range Detectives. And it was just kind of hokey, but it was, if you were looking for something that was like a Western that was really kind of old fashioned in a way and gave you all those Western vibes, this was it. The characters in it, there's one called Stovepipe because he's really tall and skinny. And there's one called Wilbur, who is like the comic relief. And so they are incredibly fun. They end up helping this guy out because he is kind of getting ambushed. And because of that, they end up kind of involved in all of this. And they are actually range detectives. They work for, I don't know, the Rangers or whatever, but they go around and to all these places and try to find out what's going on. And if someone's rustling cattle or doing something they shouldn't be, these are the people they send out. But nobody knows this in the beginning. So that part, that was really good. I gave that one 5 stars. And let's see, what will we end with here? Oh, the last one, I actually read it quite a while ago now, but it was I think I read it for Pride Month, but it was called The Stand-In Dad, and it was really good too. It was this woman who is about to get married, and even though her parents sometimes act like they're okay with the fact that she's gay, they're not. And so she goes to get flowers at this store, and her parents are supposed to come and help her pick out flowers for the wedding, and they never show up. But the store owner sees her crying on a bench outside his store, and he is also gay, and he comes out and he talks to her and tries to cheer her up, and they end up starting this friendship, and eventually, he agrees to kind of stand in for her parents with everything that she has to do. So he goes with her to try the cakes. He goes with her to do all the things. Her partner is away a lot for business, so she doesn't always get to come to these things either. So without her parents there, she's by herself. So it's very sweet. It's very loving. Um, really just a nice, a nice, cute book for Pride Month, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was very sweet. So anyway, that's some of what I've been reading over the last little bit. Like I said, there's been a lot, but a lot of them have been audiobooks and different things. I got what was it called? I don't remember now. I got one that would read me my books off my Kindle, and it's not Speechify. It's called Peach. And I have to say, I got it on a deep discount, which was lovely. So far, I'm enjoying it. I do find they could have maybe a few more voices and things like that, but it seems to work well once I got it working, because I think I drove customer service crazy trying to get it working, because it's not, to set it up is not that intuitive. Like it is once you know what you're doing, but initially it kept asking me to log into Amazon because it reads books from your Kindle, so it needs that access. But it kept wanting to log into Amazon.com, and I'm in Canada, so I kept protesting that. And finally, through the customer service, they said, no, no, it's okay. Log into .com and it will choose the right books from .ca. And it's like, I don't understand how it does it, but sure. So that's what I did. And sure enough, it started to work then. But will I keep it after the trial is up? I don't know. But so far I'm enjoying it. I spent, I think it was about $19-20 on the app itself for it to have access to all of this. And then I spent another $10-12 so that I could increase the speed. That was separate, which I didn't care for, but anyway, I read at 2 times the speed or listen at 2 times the speed. So I I couldn't do it otherwise. Like, I mean, I could, but I chose not to. So I bought that extra part. But normally, I guess it's like $70 a year, which sounds like a lot until you realize that's probably about five. What does my husband tell me? $5 a month, or yeah, I think it was like $5 a month or something, which is really good actually when you think about it. I mean, that's less than the price of a Kindle book, really, for most of them. So anyway, we'll see. I might keep it, I might not. But for now, it's working well. So it's beautiful here today, and it is Canada Day. So I am off, which is why I'm here with you. And I'm not sure what we're going to do today, if anything, but I'm happy to have the day off, and we may go to some fireworks or something tonight. We'll see. All right, so I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope if you're celebrating Canada Day that you enjoy your day. And if you are American and the 4th is coming up, I hope that you have fun celebrating that when it comes. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're enjoying your summer. Or I guess if you're on the other side of the world, I hope you're enjoying your winter. And I will talk to you soon. Bye bye, friends.